84.7% of the population of South Africa is black. That's majority. It's only now going 6.8 or 7% is white. I have never seen a place where the majority depends on the minority for progress to happen. Never.
Here, America.
What do you mean?
Well, the majority of the people here are not rich, and they depend on the other. See, for me, it's not just black and white. The lines aren't just black and white. The lines, I believe, the lines have always been class.
So what I'm asking you is the 84.7% of the population who have lived on that land for thousands of years before this foreigner showed up only 450 to 500 years ago. How come they did not build that wealth?
Because that wasn't their structure.
What was their structure?
Their structure was Ubuntu. I am because we are.
Okay then.
So what if they went back? What if they went back? Could the white settlers survive in that system? No, they destroyed it.
No. If they had a system, Ubuntu, as you're saying, why didn't they, the 49 to 50 million blacks, just cut off and then use Ubuntu to prove that they can also develop on their own? What happened to Ubuntu?
They weren't left alone.
What happened?
Apartheid happened.
No. Let me explain apartheid to those who may not know the real background of apartheid. The word is an English word or Dutch word that just became Afrikaan. Simply saying, well, this is the majority. We would like to keep our culture and leave our little area. In fact, the whites were putting more pressure on themselves to say, we can exist in this little corner here by ourselves. We don't want intermingle of race, religion. That's it. Do you know that apartheid, in terms of living separate, has always been there? It became a problem because somebody thought it was a good idea to ask the parliament to put it into law. That was what ignited the fight against it. But the structure itself was there for over hundreds of years. So my question to you is this. If the whites were apartheid, which is, look, we will live in our small corner. They are confident enough to say, even though we are minority, we can survive. Why didn't the majority say, okay, go on with your apartheid, we'll go with our Ubuntu, and then build a black South Africa on their own community? Apartheid didn't say you can exist, no.
So apartheid didn't stop that?
No.
Apartheid supported that?
It's supposed actually enabling you to go on and be Ubuntu. Leave us alone.
So South Africa, even before it was made legislative law, you're saying that the white people in South Africa supported black people going off on their own and doing their own thing?
When you say supported, they didn't have to support or not support. No, you were existing before we arrived. Apartheid doesn't mean that white people were telling blacks, you're not going to live on this land. No, absolutely not. It simply means the place we took, we would just keep it and live there, just like Greenwich.
And if you stay there, and if you're a black person, and your family is from that area that we took, then you have to live under our laws now.
No, there was nothing like that. They could build a ship rest stop, where the initial plan was to have a place where ships going out to Asia could stop and refuel and do all that. So you must understand that they pick a place that was barren.
Coastal. That's why
just the same way Orania is doing today. They took a bare land. They bought a bare land from the government. The same thing, they saw a bare land because there was no country. There was no country. That is what people seem to forget. You must understand, the Zulus were the most populated, most powerful, and they were waging war on all the small tribes in the area. That was what the game was. Before these people came, found a place and said,
same thing with the Caribbean.
Right.
This is what they do.
So how can somebody continue to insist that 84.7% of a population should rather rely on just a 6% that arrive, they don't even know the terrain?
My position is not anything about rely. My position is, when do you add the mindset of the settlers who run South Africa for so many years, and the conscious efforts they made to hold black folks down?
Explain how they held them down.
With apartheid, brethren.
No.
Once it became law, so let's talk about a place that I've been for 45 years. America had apartheid. It was called Jim Crow.
Okay.
You can literally take one thing and put them on top of it. It's the same exact thing.
Okay.
So the mentality, the mindset, what D.W. Griffith injected with the birth of a nation that the president showed in the White House and called it the blazing fire, where we see the Ku Klux Klan invented for the first time as a weapon. None of that had a role in where black folks are in this country now?
We are talking about South Africa.
No, we're talking
I'll come back here and explain this place. We're talking about South Africa, and I think it's an important topic. It might ignite in the minds of other Africans and even African Americans here and in the UK to understand that there is something deeper than what we are talking about.
And what would
I want to state it categorically. White presence in South Africa contributed nothing to the economic status of blacks in South Africa. Nothing. Because I would ask you then, show me outside South Africa, the remaining 53 countries where there is no apartheid, which one has developed to what it wants to be? If apartheid caused black South Africans to have a low economic status, then I need someone to show me the remaining 53 countries in the continent which has no apartheid.
So what did those countries have? Nothing.
You went to Nigeria.
They didn't have anything.
No.
It was called colonialism.